let's begin the topic of fundamental rights. Have you ever wondered how the rights you enjoy today, from where they came, or how courtrooms protect your freedom, equality and dignity? Whether you are preparing for UPSC civil service examination or any examination, and as a citizen of India, you need to understand fundamental rights. It is your first shield against the injustice. Today, I will take you through the history, meaning, articles, landmark cases and amendments that shaped these rights from the day our constitution came into force to the present scenario. I will share tips on how to remember them for your exam and apply them in the real courtroom situation. So grab your notes and let's begin this topic. Let's rewind to the year 1947. India had just gained independence, but the new nation faced serious challenges such as poverty, social inequality, communal conflicts and political instability. The leaders of that time, especially Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, understood that freedom from the foreign rule was just the beginning. People needed protection from discrimination, exploitation and arbitrary actions by the state. That's the reason they have included part 3 of the constitution, covering from articles 12 to 35, called as fundamental rights. It is the backbone of liberty, dignity and equality. These rights were influenced by the American Bill of Rights, but they have modified to the Indians' diverse society, addressing casteism, religious differences and poverty. Here, key points to remember that fundamental rights are guarantees. Fundamental rights are guarantees that every citizen can rely on when their liberty or equality is threatened. They are enforceable in the courts. Under Article 32 allows direct access to the Supreme Court when these fundamental rights are violated. Remember Article 32. Reasonable restrictions exist. For example, speech is free, but hate speech is not free. Remember this. During emergencies, some rights can be suspended, but Article 20 and 21 always remain free. Here I want to give an exam tip. Always mention that rights are enforceable and backed by the courts. This separates from the directive principles, which are moral obligations. These are not enforceable rules. Now we have understood the history. Let's discuss the 6 rights one by one through example, so you will easily remember. So if you want a more detailed topic, you can join my classes. I will go into the detail. So the first right is right to equality, which is defined under Article 14 to Article 18. See, first is the right to equality. It is the foundation of what? It is the foundation of fairness. Next is Article 14. I said you Article 14 is what? Equality before law. Means that every person must be treated the same. No law should be arbitrary. Means what? Even the CM, PM, the ministers, everyone are equal in front of the law, even the lawmaker. That is called as rule of law. Next is Article 15. The state cannot discriminate based upon religion, race, sex, caste or place of birth. However, special provisions are allowed for women, children and socially disadvantaged groups. Article 16 talks about equal opportunity in government jobs. Recruitment must be fair without favorism or with reference. That is happening, as we know. Article 17, abolition of untouchability, one of the strongest provision aimed at the social justice. Article 18 prohibits state granted titles like Raja or Nawab, promoting equality in honor and status. There is a landmark case, that is what? Indira Swahani, 1992 case. It is a Mandal Commission's recommendation of what? 27% reservation for other backward classes was upheld, but the creamy layer exclusion was enforced. Next landmark case under this article is Shaira Banu case, which is 2017 case. Triple Talaq practice declared unconstitutional as it violates the right of equality. See, as I said you, for example, I'm taking for example you're selected as an assistant public prosecutor. As an assistant public prosecutor, if you encounter discrimination in hiring, service delivery or police action, you can rely on the Article 14 to argue the fairness. Next, I want to give an exam tip. See, for mains, a common question is, explain how Article 14 promotes rule of law. You can write that it prevents arbitrary decision and ensures equal protection under the law. Next is right to freedom, which is defined under Article 19 to 22. Next is the right to freedom. See, sometimes called as liberty bundle. See, right to freedom is sometimes called as what? Liberty bundle. See, Article 19 provides 6 freedoms. What are those? See, the first is freedom of speech and expression. Article 19 Clause A, freedom of speech and expression. Next, Article 19 Clause B, assembly without arms. Article 19 Clause C, association or union. Article 19 Clause D, movement anywhere but within India. Movement anywhere within India. Article 19 Clause E, residence anywhere. Article 19 Clause F, profession or occupation. So these are the, what we'll say, these freedoms come with reasonable restrictions for public order, morality or security. 20. Safeguards for accused person. According to this article, no punishment for past decision if the law was not in force. See, basically this article protects from double jeopardy. Is nothing but a person cannot be tried twice for the same offense. And under this article, it gives protection against self-incrimination, which is nothing but, you can't be forced to confess. For example, police officer, they have arrested me. Okay, I am in the police lockup. Now, police officer, he can't force me. You confess. If he force me, simply I can say that under Article 20, I have a right to remain silent. It's nothing but right to self-incrimination. So always remember, under Article 20, it protects double jeopardy, and Article 20 it gives us a right to remain silent. It's nothing but right to self-incrimination. Article 21, the most important article. No person shall be deprived of life or personal liberty except by a procedure established by law. This article has expanded widely to include privacy, health and environment. Next is Article 22. It protects arrested person. You must be informed for the reason for arrest. If police officer arrested, he should inform you why you have been arrested, and be allowed to meet a lawyer and be produced before a magistrate within 24 hours. See, there is a landmark case under this article, Menaka Gandhi case, 1978. The procedure must be fair. It should not be an arbitrary. Next landmark case under this article is D.K. Basu, 1997. Guidelines to prevent custodial torture and ensure rights for arrested person. See, if we look into real life application of these articles, see, in bail hearings or trial cases, APP officers rely on Article 20 and 21 to ensure the liberty is protected and injustice is not delayed. I want to give you an exam tip here. In prelims often they ask which of the freedoms is subjected to reasonable restrictions. The correct answer is speech, assembly, movement, etc. But courts have clarified limits over time. Next is right to exploitation, which is defined under Article 23 to 24. The third set of rights protect citizen from exploitation. Article 23 prohibits human trafficking, beggar, forced labor and exploitation of workers, whether by private employers or government authorities. Article 24 prohibits child labor under 14 years in hazardous industries. See, there is a landmark case here, People's Union for Democratic Rights, 1982. even unpaid labor amounts to forced labor and violates this right. If we go through a real life application of these articles, see, when investigating cases for bounded labor or child exploitation, APP officers can involve Article 23 and 24 to demand strict penalties. Next is right to freedom of religion defined under Article 25 to 28. These rights ensure religious freedom while keeping the state secular. Article 25, freedom to practice profession and propagate religion subject to public order and morality. Article 26, religious institutions can manage their affairs and own property. Article 27, the state cannot impose taxes specifically to promote a religion. Article 28, educational institutions funded by the state cannot force religious instructions. See, there is a landmark case under this article, Sabarimala 2018 case. Entry of women in the temple. There was a debate about on periods. Balancing, so in this case, balancing equality and religious traditions. If you want, I'll make a detailed video on this case. See, next I want to give an exam tip here. In UPSC, they ask how secularism is ensured by these articles. And coming to the APP exams, APP officers might deal with the disputes about religious practices interfering with the public order. See, Article 29 to 30 talks about cultural and educational rights. India's diversity is protected by these rights. So, Article 29 talks about what minorities can preserve their culture, language and script. Article 30 talks about minorities have a right to establish and administer educational institutions with a state aid. Here I want to give an example. See, a tribal committee school receiving government support while preserving its unique culture. So this is an example. Article 32, it is called as an heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. This is said by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So Article 32 is right to constitutional remedies. This is called as heart and soul of the Indian Constitution, which is said by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. If your rights are violated, you can directly approach the Supreme Court using writs. WRITS writs. It is a legal order to ensure justice. So basically we have 5 writs. First is habeas corpus, release from unlawful detention. Next is mandamus, direct government officials to perform their duties. Next is certiorari, cancel wrong decisions by the lower courts. Next is prohibition, stop proceedings that exceed authority. Next is quo warranto, challenge improper office holders. See, if you want a detailed video on the writs, I will make a separate video. You just comment in my comment section. This is about fundamental rights. That's the reason I'm not going into the detail. Here I want to give you an exam tip. Most UPSC prelim questions focus on writs and remedies. APP officers rely on them in real life courtroom or arguments. Here we'll discuss some landmark judgments. How courts has expanded these rights. See, courts have played a vital role. Vital role is nothing but important role in interpreting and expanding these fundamental rights. First, the landmark case is Kesavananda Bharati case. This is called as Doctrine of Basic Structure, 1973 case, where said Parliament cannot destroy fundamental rights. They form the basic structure of Indian Constitution. Next, the landmark case is Menka Gandhi 1978. Fair procedure must be followed in detaining citizens. Next case is K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. It is 2017 case. It is also called as Aadhaar case. In this case, the court said that right to privacy is a fundamental right linked to life and liberty. Next is Unni Krishnan case, which is 1993 case. In this case, court held that education is a fundamental right, later made constitutional through 86th Amendment. Next is Janhit Abhiyan 2022 landmark case. In this case, Supreme Court said that economic reservation for poor upheld and demonstrating balancing equality with welfare. Now, if we talk about real life connection with these judgments ensure that rights are meaningful, not symbolic. You remember this. We have discussed the landmark cases. Now let's move to the major amendments to the fundamental rights. Now let's understand how constitution has evolved over time. Amendments are like course corrections, keeping rights relevant, fair and aligned with social needs. Parliament can amend the constitution under Article 368, but it cannot destroy its basic structure, which was ruled, just now I have explained, which was ruled in Kesavananda Bharati case 1973. So Parliament can amend, but it should not change its fundamental, not destroy the basic structure of constitution. So let's go through the key amendments that have changed and expanded the fundamental rights. First amendment, we'll discuss first amendment which has happened in the year 1951. Soon after independence, India needed land reforms. However, these land reforms were challenged by the courts under the right to property and freedom of speech. The first amendment added reasonable restrictions to Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause A, allowing the state to regulate speech in interest of the public order and to implement social reforms like land redistribution. Why it matters? It shows how rights must balance with governance needs. See, if you want the detailed video on these amendments with the story, you just comment in the comment section. I will make a detailed video like why this amendment is needed. As we are discussing with the fundamental rights, I am keeping it shorter. Next amendment is 24th Amendment, which happened in the year 1971. Before this amendment, the Supreme Court in Golaknath case 1967 held that Parliament could not amend fundamental rights. The 24th Amendment clarified that Parliament had power to amend any part of the Constitution, including the rights, though this later had limits imposed by the basic structure doctrine, which I have explained Kesavananda Bharati case. So why it matters? Because it sparked debate on the separation of powers between Parliament and judiciary. See, always remember, you can amend any part of the Constitution, but you should not disturb the basic structure of the Constitution, which is defined in Kesavananda Bharati case 1973 case. If you want this case in detail, I'll make a detailed video. Next amendment is 42nd Amendment 1976. It has happened during 1976. During the emergency, this amendment attempted to weaken rights and give more power to the central government. So it inserted socialist secular into the preamble and restricted courts from reviewing certain amendments. See, why this is important, why I'm discussing with you? It showed that how rights could be misused during crisis, leading to the public backlash later. Next is 44th Amendment, which happened in 1978. After emergency ended, the 44th Amendment reversed many changes, such as restored full protection to Article 19 during emergencies, made the right to property as a legal right instead of fundamental right. Remember, right to property was a fundamental right, but now it is a legal right under Article 300 Clause A, and protects Article 20 and 21 even during emergencies. See, always remember, whenever you read, if there is an article, beside that there is any alphabet, that means it has been amended and it has came to the Constitution through an amendment. Why it is important? See, next is 82nd Amendment, which has happened in the year 2002. Access to education was recognized as fundamental need. The amendment added Article 21 Clause A, guaranteeing free and compulsory education for the children between 6 to 14 years. Remember, 6 to 14 years. Sometimes in MCQs they might ask 6 to 14 years. Related case to this this fundamental right is Unni Krishnan 1993 laid the foundation by declaring education a fundamental right. Why it matters? Education is not a charity; it is a constitutional guarantee. Next is 103rd Amendment, which has happened in the year 2019 to address economic inequality. The amendment introduced Article 15 Clause 6 and Article 16 Clause 6, allowing 10% reservation in education and public employment for EVS, nothing but economically weaker sections. See, there is a related case to this. As far as I got it. Janhit Abhiyan 2022 upheld the amendment confirming that it does not violate equality principles. See, I'm explaining in a shorter. If you want a detail, you can join my classes. Next, why it matters. It shows that how constitutional equality is balanced with what public policies. See, here I want to give an exam tip. See, when you're writing a mains answer, structure it like this. How first you write, you got a mains answer, like fundamental rights, amendments of fundamental rights. First you need to write an introduction. Next, what are the amendments? Next, you need to write key amendments. Next, you need to give a little bit of explanation and what is the purpose. Next, you need in below you mention landmark cases supporting them. If you write the answer in a structured way, the one who is correcting, even he will get in clarity. At last, you don't forget to mention the conclusion, like balancing between the rights and social welfare. See, previously there was no living relationship. Now even the court is acting living relationship. So you need to mention that our constitution is balancing between rights and present social welfare. So for APP people, see, if they ask in an interview, for example, see, under this amendment, see, you can quote these amendments when arguing cases involving welfare schemes or in emergency situations. I want to give an exam strategies and the quick revision tips. See, I have covered a lot of groundwork from the birth of fundamental rights to the landmark cases and amendments. Now let's focus how you can turn this knowledge into exam success. See, not always hard works, you need a smart work. See, for UPSC aspirants, for how to remember the prelims, I want to give a prelim strategy. Memorize the articles such as Article 14 equality, Article 19 freedom, Article 21 life, okay, Article 32 remedies. Next is Article 23 to 24 against exploitation, Article 25 to 28 religious freedom, Article 29 to 30 cultural rights. So this is how you have to remember. Next, you just practice MCQs based upon cases, facts and amendments. Don't confuse fundamental rights with the directive principles. They have different purpose and enforceability. Next, for the mains, how to prepare for mains. See, link judgments to the rights. See, link judgments to rights. Example, Menaka Gandhi case, fair procedure under Article 21. Puttaswamy case, privacy is a part of life and dignity. Indra Swahani case, reservation and equality. See, use headings, flow charts and the diagrams for the better presentation. Include constitutional provisions like Article 368 and basic structured doctrine where relevant. See, smart work is important. That is where it makes you an extraordinary. See, everyone study, everyone writes. The one who makes paper from ordinary to extraordinary, they will clear the exam in their first attempt. Here I want to give a tip to how to prepare for interview. See, prepare answers like how do you ensure rights are upheld in your role. For example, mention fair trial, proper arrest procedure, access to the legal aid and speedy justice. And for APP officers, use Article 21 while in the interview during the bail hearings, and preventive detention cases, use Article 32 to file writ petition whenever the rights are violated. Refer to the guidelines from DK Basu for arrest procedure and the custodial safeguards. Next, you can mention exploitation cases, cite Article 23 and 24 for trafficking and child labor. Mention landmark judgments whenever in the interview, like when arguing for or against the bail for preventive detention. I want to give a quick revision for mnemonics, like for example, for Article 19 freedoms, you remember SAAMPR. See, SAAMPR. S for speech, A for assembly, A for association. Okay, S for speech, A for assembly, A for association, M for movement, P for profession, R for residence. So SAAMPR. This how you have. This is in this way you have to remember. Next, for remembering writs under Article 32, you have to remember HAM PCQ. HAM PCQ. H for habeas corpus, M for mandamus, P for prohibition. And next, C for certiorari and Q for Q warranto. This is how you have to remember. See, this is what is smart work. Next, for amendments, how to remember? Remember 1, 24, 42, 44, 86, 103. See, 1, 24, 42, 44, 86, 103. See, first amendment for land reforms, 24th for amendment power, 42 for emergency misuse, 44 for rights restored, and 86 for education. See, and last 103 I forgot, that is for economic reservation. Now I want to end this topic. See, first you say me why fundamental rights matters. See, if they ask you in an interview why the fundamental rights matter, you can, in short, you can say that. See, I want to say you that. See, from the struggle of 1947 to today's debates on privacy, education and equality shows how fundamental rights are living backbone of our democracy. They are the shield against injustice, the foundation of fair governance, the tool to protect minorities, women, children and vulnerable sections. These rights are the pathway to the social and economic justice. For UPSC students, this is not just another topic, it's a conceptual bridge connecting polity, governance and law. For APP students, it's a daily tool used to defend liberty, ensure fairness and prevent the abuse of power. See, if this video helped you, hit the like button, share it with the fellow aspirants and comment below with which fundamental right you found most powerful. Don't forget to subscribe for the detailed guides on emergency provisions, directive principles and more. Study smart, stay ethical, stand for justice. Jai Hind. See, if you want to join my class, you can join from 28th September for APP students. Indian Constitution is also one of the major subject for APP students. Thank you.